We'll be extending our chat with our document app with Slack integration. Slack is a very popular collaboration and communication tool used in enterprises, and for our use case of having a HR policy advisor, it can be very useful as part of the onboarding experience for a new employee. We'll be adding two nodes to our querying workflow that allows Slack to communicate to our knowledge base, so this one here with the webhook, and one node for us to communicate back to Slack, this node here. So just a quick note, in the build that will follow, the flow you'll see will be using another vector store called Supabase. It's there to show that this flow also works with other vector stores beside the one that we're using for this course, which is the Qdrant one. It functions exactly the same way. So let's go and see how the Slack user experience would look like. I'm going to ask HR, what is vacation policy? All right, so it gives me this response here. I'm going to ask it, what is overtime policy? Right, and then I'm going to give it a more general question. Say, I would like to wear jeans to work. Is this against HR policy? All right, so Busy Bee has a professional business attire policy, and it finds that and then talks about how wearing jeans would be related to the policy. Let's go ahead and set up the Slackbot. We'll do a walkthrough of the Slack Developer Portal Quick Start first. There are 4 steps to the setup. We'll first create a Slack app, then we'll give it the right permissions, including the authorization to post to our channel and the ability to access public Slack channels in our workspace. We'll then create a new Slack command, and then we'll install and authorize the app and test it. All right, I'm going to go to my quick start page and I'm going to select create an app. All right, so I'll go ahead and create this app. I'm going to just do it from scratch. I'm going to call this Busy Bee HR, and I'm going to select this workspace, and then I'm going to create the app. All right, so the app is created. Now I want to be able to give it permission. So I'll go ahead and give it a couple of permissions. I mentioned that there are a couple of permissions that I want to provide. So I will go here to the bot one here, and then I'm going to say chat, right? And also channel read. All right. So I've got these 2 permissions. Now I'm going to go to slash commands, and I want to create a new command. So I'm going to say ask HR is my command name. Now this request URL is going to call into my webhook in NA10. So we'll cover that shortly. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into my workflow, and I'm going to select the production URL in my webhook, and then I'm going to copy this. All right, so I'll use this as the way to call into my NA10 workflow, and then I'm going to call it ask HR about policy, and I'll go ahead and save this. All right, so by adding this slash HR command, if you look at the OAuth permissions, it automatically added this ability here to interact with the bot using commands. All right, so we have 3 permissions. We've created our app. We created our what's called a webhook that will call into the Slack will call into our N8N flow. There's one more thing that we'll enable. So we'll go back to our app homes, and then we are going to select, go to the bottom and select allow users to send slash commands and messages to the message tab. So this allows the user to talk directly to our bot. Right. So we'll select that, And then the last step we're going to do is install it. All right, so we'll go ahead and install it to the workspace. And then I'm going to allow it. All right, so it's installed. Now let's go ahead and check it out. All right, so I can see in here in my Slack workspace, I have a Slack bot, the BusyBee HR, and I can talk to it. So I can say slash ask HR, what is the overtime policy? All right, so we have this here, and it's um, got access to this knowledge base now, and I can go to here to general channel as well. I can say here slash HR, and I can say what is the overtime policy. Right, so it's also enabled here. Now I'm going to just double check that it is running exactly as I expected. So I'll go back to my workflow, and I'll go into the executions tab. Okay, so the execution tab allows me to see what has been executed. Right, so right now it's running this workflow, and I can go ahead and tap into here. So I can see what's being passed in, what is overtime policy. I can see it being passed into my um, my AI chatbot here, and I can also see more details here about it accessing the vector store and also what it's retrieving, right? And then of course the response that is being sent to back to the Slack channel.